Lance Weiler es considerado el renovador de las narrativas hollywoodenses. Él está presente aquí en el Encuentro Internacional de Televisión Pública. Thank you very much for the interview. So now you're credited as being this innovator of these narratives of the 21st century in Hollywood. That's basically transmedia. What is it?
For me, it's just storytelling. I'm reflecting the times, and I'm realizing that consumption has changed in the way that people, whether they're looking at a small screen on a mobile device, or they're in front of their larger television at home, or they're in a movie theater. I'm just interested in how stories can bridge between those areas, because the internet has connected us in new and interesting ways. And with the advent of technology and bandwidth increasing and file sizes becoming more manageable, it's a lot easier now to tell stories in ways that were never possible before.
Actually, you have launched, you have directed a project which is Pandemic. Could you describe what it was like? What did it involve?
We staged a Pandemic, the prototype of it at Sundance at the film festival, where 40,000 people come every year. And what we did was we built a simulation, so over 120 hours, over 5 days, people were working together to stop the spread of a fictional pandemic. Some of that might be involved every time you would tweet with a certain hashtag, you would save a life. There were 20 actors that were working from scripts that we had written and shooting all over the city, and they were controlled in certain ways by the audience. There were things that were hidden that people had to find, almost like a scavenger hunt, where they had to find these golden objects that were hidden all throughout Park City. And they did that with people who were outside of, who weren't in Park City, who weren't in Utah at the time. And so over the course of those 5 days, we had a lot of players from all over the world working around a common goal. So in that particular instance, that story is told across mobile devices, it's told in movie theaters, it's told online, it's told through physical objects. It had a lot of different parts to it.
Far from reality shows. It's nothing to do with that.
But reality shows could benefit greatly from an approach like that. I think it's funny. We sit here and we're talking about it, and it seems like it's so future, but I think in no time we'll see that it'll just become natural. It'll become second nature. It'll just be what it is, and you won't have to say what transmedia is anymore, because everything will just flow. It'll just be the problem that we have now is the infrastructure is fragmented. You have so many different screens in your life, and it's hard enough to get, if I purchase one thing on one device, to be able to put it on another, So it's very fragmented, so it's a challenge.
The possibilities of telling those stories are rather changed by these transmedia resources. Now, what are the implications in the perceptual forms of time and space, which are basic categories?
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting too, because in some ways there's a historical significance to this. That what we're talking about a time where story is being wrestled away from a top-down approach, right? And we're looking at what effectively is almost like a campfire again. It's like that ability to embellish a story, to take it and have it evolve. Now, I think that there's all kinds of ethical responsibilities around this work, and I think there's a big need for digital literacy around this work.
Hi, I'm David Cronenberg.
Now, with the advent of new technologies, there's always an apocalyptic view, an Orwellian view in this case, of technology and social control. On the other hand, there might be possibilities of studying and approaching social dynamics. To what extent is it social control? To what extent can it be a chance as to know social behavior?
Yeah, I think that anytime something emerges, it has the opportunity to be used for a positive or a negative, right? And I tend not to take a dystopian stance with it, because I feel like the more I can be out on the forefront of what's going on and trying to dive into these difficult questions, the more I feel like I can, in some small way, can help to maybe shape some part of it. I think all I'm trying to do is kind of awaken the public to the fact that they can tell stories and they can have a say over their own narratives. And that's an amazing thing, because I think if they understand that and they can develop those skills, then they can have more of a digital literacy, and they can tell the difference of when somebody is very covertly trying to do something, or they can see those implications.
Intellectual symbiosis with pod will improve your life in unexpected ways. Through a process called synaptic entanglement.